Chapter 232, What clues? We've already got the suspect. Thud. Everyone in the conference room suddenly felt their bodies go limp and collapse to the floor. All eyes instantly turned to Fong Ning, their glares practically spitting fire. Still not clocking out? Dedicated? Is that even human speech? All of us here bored out of our minds, and you won't let us leave this late? And it's all because of you. Do I have flowers growing on my face? Fong Ning couldn't help but shiver at the hostile stares from the crowd. Oomph. Fong Ning, I never thought you'd have the nerve to come back. You're quite the character. We haven't even caught you yet, and here you are walking right into the trap? Exactly. Did you know you'd be caught sooner or later, so you just decided to turn yourself in? The crowd kept pointing and whispering at Fong Ning. What are you all talking about? What's this about surrendering? Fong Ning was instantly dumbfounded. What's going on? He'd only been gone for a few hours. Why did everyone suddenly have such different expressions? The difference from before was just too drastic. Oh, it's all just a misunderstanding. Lu Han's mouth twitched as he rushed forward to explain. But before he could finish, Baiku cut him off. Lu Han, you don't need to defend him. A man who won't own up to his own actions isn't a man at all. His gaze turned to Fong Ning, brimming with contempt. He had previously thought Fong Ning was at least someone who owned up to his actions. But now, not only did Fong Ning refuse to admit it, he was pretending to be clueless. His opinion of Fong Ning instantly plummeted to rock bottom. What did I do? His mouth hung open slightly, eyes wide with disbelief. Pretending? Baiku's face twisted into a sneer before he snorted coldly. Since you won't admit it, let me help you remember. I ask you, did you leave the police station after 6 o'clock that evening? Fong Ning nodded slightly. I did leave the station, but That's all. Baiku cut him off abruptly, his gaze burning into Fong Ning. Where did you go after leaving the station? Fong Ning's brow instantly knotted into a tight knot. After a few seconds of hesitation, he answered truthfully. First I wandered around downtown for a while, then I ate a bowl of noodles, after that I went to the arcade, and then... But before he could finish, Baiku cut him off again. Stop. You admit you went to the arcade? You're not going to say you went to investigate Hefei's whereabouts next, are you? I did go to the arcade, but it was to... Fong Ning's words abruptly halted mid-sentence. His pupils dilated rapidly, his expression collapsing like a deflated balloon. His chest felt stuffed with yellow flowers, making it hard to breathe, and his stomach churned like it was infested with worms. Damn it, I'd already said everything, how could I possibly continue? For a moment, his lips trembled, unable to form words. Seeing Fong Ning's reaction, Baiku's eyes narrowed to slits. His suspicion that something was off with Fong Ning only deepened. You won't speak? Fine, I'll speak for you. A cold smile curled his lips as Baiku strode toward Fong Ning, his voice full of righteous indignation. Not only did you go to the arcade, but you later used your police status to seize a civilian's electric scooter. Not only did you seize the electric scooter, but you also forcibly rammed through a checkpoint, damaging the traffic police's motorcycle. After delivering the tirade in one breath, Baiku's voice suddenly rose several notches. Well, am I right or what? Clang. Fong Ning stumbled back 3 steps, his expression growing increasingly bizarre. Only now did he finally grasp it. This whole damn thing had been a misunderstanding from the start. The way city police must have assumed he went to the arcade to play games. Even his pursuit of Hefei had been twisted into incriminating evidence. Just as he was about to speak up to explain, a deep voice slowly echoed. Fong Ning, is what Captain Bai said true? The speaker was none other than Bureau Chief Gu. Commissioner Gu had remained silent since Fong Ning entered the room, only speaking up now. Objectively speaking, it was indeed true. Fong Ning nodded slowly. See? He admitted it. I told you so. He's gotten too big for his britches. How audacious. He's admitted it, what are we waiting for? Arrest him immediately. Exactly. Arrest him. Such a black sheep must be detained. We can't let him tarnish the image of Weicheng's police force. Hearing Fong Ning's admission, the crowd's faces darkened instantly, their expressions turning as black as ink. They all clamored to arrest him. Oh my. It really was a misunderstanding. Lu Han was now frantically scratching his head and pulling at his beard, pacing like a caged animal. He had genuinely believed Fong Ning had lost his mind. But when he went to pick up Fong Ning just now, he was so shocked he couldn't speak. He saw someone strapped to Fong Ning's back. And that person was none other than the suspect the city police had been desperately searching for all day. The criminal suspect, Hefei. The moment he saw Hefei, he knew his suspicions were correct. Fong Ning had indeed acted out of the ordinary because he had uncovered a lead. The moment he entered the conference room, he'd wanted to explain to everyone, but he hadn't had the chance. Later, when he finally found an opening, Baiku interrupted him. Now, seeing Fong Ning foolishly confess, he was so flustered he nearly jumped out of his skin. His face flushed crimson like a monkey's behind, and finally, unable to contain himself, he bellowed. Everyone, listen to me. This is all a misunderstanding. Everything Fong Ning did was to track down Hefei. The moment the words left his mouth, the room fell deathly silent. You could hear a pin drop. After several long seconds, the tension around them finally snapped. One by one, they burst into laughter. You say he did all this to catch Hefei? Did he go to the arcade to catch him? A squad leader was the first to mock. Ha! You know what? Maybe Hefei really did retain his childlike spirit and went to the arcade to play video games. Another officer chimed in immediately, his eyes brimming with mockery. Could that electric bike theft be related to chasing He-Fei? Ha! Not impossible, huh? That'd explain why he's been running checkpoints. The conversation quickly veered off track, growing increasingly absurd. By the end, it had completely turned into a rant session about Ning Fei. All this talk is useless. Anyone can spout pretty words. I could run a red light and claim I was on duty. Where all cops' evidence matters. Proving it is simple. Baiku waved his hand to silence the group, then turned his gaze to Fong Ning. If you did all this to track down He-Fei, have you uncovered any leads? At Baiku's question, all eyes instantly turned to Fong Ning, filled with schadenfreude. Director Gu narrowed his eyes, suspicion written across his face as he studied Fong Ning. Only Lu Hanqing couldn't help but swallow hard, a hint of anticipation flickering in her eyes. Clues? I haven't found any. Fong Ning shook his head slowly. Hearing his response, the others slowly shook their heads, their expressions saying, just as we thought. Director Ge's gaze grew icy, a flash of coldness darting through his eyes. But the very next second, Fong Ning suddenly grinned, revealing his signature pearly whites. I don't have any clues, but I've already brought He-Fei back. Chapter 233, Misunderstanding Cleared, everyone in awe. No clues? Saying there are no clues means. Baiku was about to mock him. But mid-sentence, his entire body shuddered. He froze in place as if struck on the back of the head. The next second, his eyelids twitched wildly, his face turned green, and his voice trembled. Wait. What did you just say? You caught He-Fei? In an instant, his mind went blank, unable to process it. Weren't we just discussing clues about He-Fei? How could they have suddenly captured He-Fei now? That's a huge leap. For several long seconds, Baiku's face remained blank. Finally, he pressed his dry lips together and forced himself to speak. Fong Ning, you're responsible for what you say. Did you really catch He-Fei in such a short time? After careful thought, he still found it highly improbable. They'd practically turned the city upside down during the day. And they hadn't found a single clue about He-Fei. While Fong Ning was exceptionally skilled at catching criminals, it was simply impossible to locate and apprehend He-Fei within a few short hours. If this were true, wouldn't that mean Fong Ning alone was as effective as our entire team? Fong Ning, Captain Bai's words reflect my position too. You must take responsibility for what you've said. Bureau Chief Gu could no longer sit still. With a sharp sound, he shot straight up from his chair, breathing heavily. Hearing Fong Ning's words, he felt the blood rush to his head in an instant. A tingling sensation shot straight from the soles of his feet to the top of his head. If what Fong Ning said was true, it meant his capabilities were far beyond what anyone had imagined. Chief, Captain Bai, it's true. Fong Ning really captured He-Fei. I saw it with my own eyes. Luhan finally found his chance to speak, his face flushed with excitement. I swear. I really saw it. Gulp. Gulp. The entire conference room fell silent, filled only with the sound of swallowing. Everyone stared at each other wide-eyed, feeling like they were about to lose their minds. Their mouths went dry, gaping open and shut, unable to form words. In that instant, their faces burned fiercely, as if they'd been slapped hard across the face. Just moments ago, they'd been joking and teasing each other. They had all seen Fong Ning as a clown. But only now did they realize they were the clowns. How could this be possible? Baiku felt as if all his strength had been sucked out of him in an instant. His entire body trembled, and he nearly collapsed to the ground. His face flushed a deep, liver-like red. The hairs on his entire body stood on end like needles, cold sweat dripping relentlessly from his forehead. Fong Ning had single-handedly accomplished their entire squad's daily quota. No, not just one day, they hadn't even caught He-Fei today. Which meant their entire squad couldn't hold a candle to Fong Ning. The thought alone twisted his heart into a painful knot, leaving him utterly speechless. As everyone on the scene stood stunned into silence, Director Gu was the first to recover, murmuring in disbelief. If they've captured He-Fei, why hasn't he been brought in? The moment the words left his mouth, everyone snapped back to reality and turned their gaze toward Fong Ning. Their eyes were filled with huge question marks. Their expressions clearly demanded, you captured He-Fei, didn't you? Bring him out for us to see. Fong Ning awkwardly scratched the back of his head. Well, it wasn't that he didn't want to bring He-Fei over. It was simply that He-Fei couldn't move. Though he'd held back and hadn't truly broken He-Fei's limbs, he had taken several solid blows. He was currently handcuffed to a chair outside the door. He-Fei's situation is a bit special. I'll take you all to see him. Lu Han's mouth twitched as he spoke with a peculiar expression. With that, he pushed open the conference room door and strode out. The others immediately looked curious and followed closely behind. Baiku was the most impatient, already dashing ahead to lead the group. Lu Han turned a corner and stopped after a short distance, then pointed to the side. This was He-Fei. He-Fei's wrists were bound to the chair, leaving him completely immobilized. Of course, even if he could move, he wouldn't have been able to. At that moment, he felt as if every bone in his body was shattered. Every movement sent searing pain through his body. Following Lu Han's gesture, everyone instinctively looked in that direction. The next second. Whoosh! A collective gasp of shock rippled through the crowd. Then came a chorus of gasps. This. Is that He-Fei? How did he end up like this? Holy! It really is He-Fei. I've seen the photos a million times, no mistake. This is just too tragic. Did he get caught gambling or scamming people? Seeing Yifei's pitiful state, everyone kept grabbing their hair, feeling like their eyeballs might pop out of their sockets at any moment. Yifei's condition was utterly horrifying. Blood still wet at the corners of his mouth, arms and legs clearly dislocated. But the most terrifying thing was the look in Yifei's eyes, a gaze that seemed to say he had no will to live. Seeing this, everyone instinctively turned to Fong Ning, their expressions growing grave. Ugh, he fell all by himself. This has nothing to do with me. I'm a law-abiding good cop. Catching the questioning looks, Fong Ning shook his head like a bobblehead. Are you kidding? Only a fool would admit to something like this. Ha! The others nodded stiffly, their faces wearing expressions that said, I get it. Only a fool would believe Yifei fell on his own. The injuries on his body were clearly from being beaten. As for who? The prime suspect was undoubtedly Fong Ning. Though they suspected Fong Ning was responsible, the group felt not a shred of resentment. Instead, they felt a secret satisfaction deep down. After chasing Yifei all day without catching him, they'd been itching to give him a good thrashing. That Fong Ning had stepped in to teach Yifei a lesson? They were practically grateful to him. Comrade Fong, tell us how you caught Yifei. Share the details with us. Taking several deep breaths, Director Ge's face lit up with excitement, his voice trembling. His address for Fong Ning had shifted back to Comrade Fong. He couldn't wait to learn how Fong Ning had captured Yifei. Everyone immediately perked up their ears, afraid to miss a single detail. Truthfully, there wasn't much to share. With so many eyes fixed on him, Fong Ning felt a bit awkward. He swallowed hard before speaking softly. He then recounted the entire process from discovering the gambling den to apprehending Yifei in meticulous detail. Of course, he omitted any mention of his own gambling or the wager he'd made with Yifei. Even so, the group was left speechless by the sheer shock of it all. They blinked at each other in disbelief, feeling like they'd been hit with 10,000 points of damage and could barely catch their breath. After hearing Fong Ning's account, they were all consumed by a single thought. Was capturing Yifei really that simple? A heavy silence fell over the room. After several long minutes, Director Gu suddenly slapped his thigh. White team, head to the arcade on Wenchang Road immediately. Chapter 234, The Poker Club appears. Organ trafficking. Team leader Bai, take your team to the Wenchang Road arcade immediately. Director Ge's face tightened, his expression turning utterly grave in an instant. He felt the hairs on the back of his neck stand on end, as if being pierced by countless tiny needles. Hearing Fong Ning's account, he realized almost instantly. This casino hidden inside the arcade was no ordinary operation. It had managed to operate right under their noses for so long without being detected. Even today's large-scale crackdown hadn't uncovered any issues. Not only that. From Fong Ning's description, the casino's staff were highly professional, its facilities were fully equipped, and its security measures were extremely stringent. There must be a major secret hidden inside. Yes, I'll lead a team there immediately. A strange gleam instantly flashed in Bai's previously dull eyes. He was ready to depart the moment he finished speaking. But before he could take a few steps, Fong Ning stopped him. Captain Bai, I suggest you don't go. The casino has definitely been evacuated. Fong Ning shook his head slowly after speaking. Given the Wenchang Road Casino's cautious approach, it was undoubtedly deserted by now. They wouldn't leave a single trace behind. Hearing Fong Ning's words, the expressions of everyone present darkened to a terrifying degree. Especially the captains who had participated in the daytime operation. Now, they all gritted their teeth, a surge of frustration building inside. They never imagined that right in the heart of the city. Right under their noses. Such a large, professional casino had been operating. And they hadn't even noticed it all along. How long had Tianxiao's casino been operating? At this thought, the group could no longer contain themselves. One by one, their eyes turned bloodshot and their faces flushed with rage. Team leader Bai. If we don't take this casino down today, we won't be able to sleep. Yeah, team leader Bai, this is nothing short of an insult to us. The guys can't take it anymore, we have to go check it out no matter what. Seeing the urgency in their eyes, Bai Ku turned to Director Gu. Go take a look. After a moment's silence, Director Gu waved his hand. Clatter. Several people burst out of the conference room, rushing out in a hurry. After Bai Ku and his team left, the room fell into a momentary silence. Oh. Director, I almost forgot to mention something important. Fong Ning suddenly slapped his thigh, narrowing his eyes as his entire demeanor shifted abruptly. The Yifei case isn't simple. There's something big behind him. His gaze fixed on Director Gu. Fong Ning spoke with teeth clenched, almost enunciating each word. Has Yifei confessed to everything? Director Ge's eyes widened in shock, his voice rising instinctively as he stared at Fong Ning like he was a monster. His face instantly contorted into an expression of utter disbelief. He had thought his estimation of Fong Ning was already high enough. But now it seemed far too low. How many hours had passed? Not only had they captured Yifei, but they'd already finished interrogating him? That was way too fast. Unnoticed by Guju's stunned expression, Fong Ning continued solemnly, behind Yifei, there might be the shadow of the poker club. The poker club? Lu Han murmured to himself, his eyes filled with confusion. He racked his brain for a long time but still couldn't recall anything. He recognized the characters for poker and club. But the combination felt utterly unfamiliar. Poker club? Could it be a place to play poker? Poker club, poker club. Director Gu repeated these three words over and over, his gaze blank as if lost in thought. He felt certain he'd heard those three words somewhere before. But he just couldn't place it. Suddenly, Director Ge's movements froze. The next second, his pupils dilated rapidly and his expression changed drastically. He stiffly turned his head toward Fong Ning, his voice trembling slightly. The poker club you mentioned, is it connected to an overseas human trafficking organization? Fong Ning nodded slowly, yes. Whoa. Director Gu sucked in a sharp breath, feeling a chill spread through his body inch by inch. Like being caught in the dead of winter without warm clothes, he shivered uncontrollably. Are you certain? The poker club isn't a human trafficking ring. How could it be connected to a gambling den? After a long pause, Director Gu frowned deeply. I didn't believe it at first either, Fong Ning said, licking his lips as he spoke in a deep voice. He faced crimes weren't just simple gambling fraud. At this point, a sudden cold gleam flashed in Fong Ning's eyes. Setting up traps to fleece targets of their money is only the first step. When the target runs out of funds, He Fei will kindly recommend a loan agency, which is none other than the poker club. The outcome was predictable. The borrower would inevitably lose again, and that poker club would bear its fangs. Ultimately, they'd use every means to force the target into signing an organ donation agreement. He Fei was merely a small fry. The real mastermind lurking behind the scenes was the poker club. Fong Ning spoke in one breath, his expression growing increasingly agitated until he nearly shouted at the end. What? Organ donation? Hearing this, Lu Han's lips trembled and his jaw nearly dropped to the floor. Fong Ning's words had truly shocked him. He'd thought this was just a minor gambling fraud case. He never imagined it would be so big. It actually involved human organ trafficking. Though he knew nothing about the poker club, it was clear from Fong Ning's scattered remarks that the poker club was undoubtedly an organized criminal syndicate. Gulp. Director Gu instinctively swallowed hard, feeling as though an invisible hand had clamped down on his throat, leaving him gasping for air. He now realized Fong Ning's claims were likely true. He had already harbored some doubts about He Fei's case. If it was merely gambling fraud, why did He Fei flee? And why did he flee to Weicheng specifically? Right. Weicheng. As this thought struck him, Director Ge's mouth twitched. He suddenly blurted out. By the way, did He Fei mention why he specifically fled to Weicheng? Yes. Fong Ning's pupils had already shrunk to pinpricks, his expression instantly turning grave. Just as he was about to speak, the conference room door burst open. Immediately, a police officer burst in, drenched in sweat and panting heavily. He panted heavily before Director Gu, his breath coming in gasps as he stammered. Commissioner Gu, we just received word that Captain Bai has successfully located the underground casino. But there's not a single person there. All the gambling equipment has been cleared out. Even the carpet has been torn up. What? Hearing this, Director G's expression darkened, his face so grim it seemed it could drip with water. The only lead we had just vanished. Finding the casino again was like searching for a needle in a haystack. Just as expected. Hearing that the casino had already been dismantled, Fong Ning felt not a shred of surprise. He had long suspected the casino's boss was no ordinary criminal. Because this gambling den wasn't just about gambling, it was a massive scam. Once someone succumbed to borrowing money for the first time, what awaited them in the end was nothing less than a contract of servitude. Noticing Director Ge's disappointed expression, Fong Ning raised an eyebrow. Director, I didn't finish my thought earlier. Go on. Director Gu sighed softly. Fong Ning's lips curled into a cold smile as he murmured. He Fei came to Weicheng because their organization has a major operation planned for tomorrow. Internally, they refer to this operation as Operation Slaughter the Pig.